All right, so mini talk about the role of interaction with the environment on understanding the nervous system. Now, it's my belief that body is unconscious. The body and the unconscious are one and the same thing, right? And if we think about the nervous system cannot be changed by anything that is not a part of it. Think about that for a second, right? The nervous system cannot be changed by anything that is not a part of it. Now, the nervous system does change. What is it changed by? Well, it's changed by the environment, especially when we interact with the environment through the body, which means the nervous system and the environment are one and the same. The environment is part of the nervous system because without the information which we collect when we go out there and we move around the world, we interact with the environment, there is no internal interpretation that can happen. It would be a vacuum. A nervous system which does not operate in unison with an environment is a useless nervous system. What's it for? Name one thing that it would be useful for. I can't think of one. Breathing, well, you breathe oxygen. Oxygenate the blood. That nourishes your brain, nourishes your organs, creates energy for movement. That oxygen comes from the environment. Seeing something, hearing something, smelling something. Seeing what? Smelling what? The world, right? So what we interact with out there is the same thing that we feel in here. And we can explore ourselves, at least the unconscious parts of ourselves, by going out and using our bodies. We can't just think about the unconscious because thought is conscious, right? So it's kind of an oxymoron. The conscious can't be conscious of the unconscious because they're just two layers, and consciousness is all up in this layer, unconsciousness is in the layer below. And so, place, Nero. Sorry, it's my doggy. So if you want to uncover the unconscious, the only way to do that is through something which is not thought, something that is a bit more primordial, a sense which arose with the human being as the human being developed, like the internal sense, the sense of having a body. It's not a thought, right? Having a body, the ownership part is like a thought, but the feeling of body, the embodiment, that content that we are aware of, that's not a thought, that's a feeling, that's a sensation. So we have a sensation of the unconscious because the body is the unconscious, but we can't really think about it. When we think about the body, that's not the same thing as living in and experiencing the body directly. Same way when we think about ourselves or we think about the environment, that's not the same thing as the experience of self and environment, which are one and the same. Because self is the feeling of being. And that feeling originates as body. So self and nervous system, they operate in the same way, right? So the unconscious is the body. The unconscious is a part of the nervous system. We have the autonomic nervous system, which operates automatically, unconsciously. And we have, the other aspects of the nervous system, like conscious thought, expression, analysis, critical thinking, all of the brainy functions, which tend to be more awake and aware. So there's a light or aware and a dark, unconscious side to the nervous system. But the nervous system spans through all of it. From the innermost qualities of our identity and our ego to the outermost qualities of the world and environment. The nervous system is part of all of that because the nervous system is the process by which self is expressed and environment is interpreted. Constant motion between expression and interpretation, between input and output, to the point where that is such a continuous process that it may as well all be self, really. At least in the true sense of what we are. Obviously, we have self as a concept that we use to navigate the world in terms of my name is Jack, and I do this, I do that, you do this, you do that. We talk using these identities, but these are social constructs of self, whereas the actual primal experience of self is one of world. There's no separation. Place, Nero. Not going to interrupt my video. So that's it, really. That's the basis of existence. The unconscious is the bodily. The conscious is the more conceptual, the heady. The meeting place of the two is within us, in the nervous system. And at the same time, the meeting place of inside, ego, self, identity, and outside, non-self, environment, world, is the nervous system. It's all happening in the now. There is no past, no present, but the now is taking place in many places, many dimensions. And so what happens is when we think, oh, I'm thinking of this memory, or place, Nero, or I'm thinking about this future thought, it's not that you're going into the past or the future, you're going into a different place in your nervous system. Your awareness is traveling more towards the conceptual, the disembodied, the abstract, the ethereal, which is not yet channeled, and the bodily, the ingrained, the story of time, memories, which is etched into your unconscious. So there it is. You've got a spectrum of experience, but where you draw the line between what's conscious and what isn't, where you draw the line between what is self and what is not, is very difficult. Everyone does it in a different way. But if we think in terms of processes and being as a process, self as a process of becoming, identity as a relative concept or a comparative concept, this versus that. If we think of these as processes rather than as black and white states, then it's much easier to function, even though we don't fully understand where the line is drawn. Because in cause and effect, it doesn't really matter what we call the parts, where the line is drawn. What matters is that we understand the flow of energy from one domain of reality into the next. Those are my thoughts for today. If you have any questions on this, drop a message below or send me an email at hello@attuned.space, because I love to hear from you guys. I'd love to know what you think. It's all about understanding the self through the world, and the nervous system is the way to do that. Diving into the feeling of it, the thinking about it, interrelating relationships, using it. It's not all just in here and it's not all just out there. You gotta flow. All right, catch you later.